So where are you?
I'm in Shanghai.
Oh, so how's everything going there?
It's okay. Becomes normal gradually, but still, people at this point are still very sensitive. And the building has a very serious quantity examination when you enter the building. Comes out, they always test the temperature, and we
Oh.
also need a pass to our office building to ensure that the actual employees of the companies within that building can enter and comes out. So I think that's a way because a lot of companies working in the same building, they have to be very careful.
Oh, so you go back to work every day now?
Starting from this week, yes, I did. Because I feel good because I just check the environment in the building and in my office. We shut down the central air conditioner system because that's important to ensure that no air circulated within the building. Just in case if one floor had something, you could shut up. So we did that. We think it's okay. So I started to go to the office from this week.
Okay, hope everything will going better. So let me just welcome our audience, and I will do the opening of the webinar. So my name is Echo Hindoyang. I'm the CEO and the founder of MSQ Ventures. So currently I'm in New York City, and I'm very honored to have Helen to join us tonight. And Helen actually is in Shanghai now, and also our hoster is Dr. Shang, is MSQ venture partner, and so currently he's in Beijing, and both of them just shared their personal experience in China, and from the news and also what they just shared with us, it seems everything going better and going to normal in China, but it's still under the very restricted monitor and to restrict to the in and out to follow the track of the person's flow. So we really hope everything will going back to normal soon. And also for the audience who are in China, we hope you will get such a freedom soon. And also for the audience in US or outside of China, I think also we get a lot of the notice in the past 2 days warning of the outbreak of the coronavirus in US. And so let's be prepared and hope everything will go through this virus outbreak safely and healthily. And so today, actually, we have the expert of the IP lawyer, Helen. And so today she will share with us and the importance of IP protection and a case study in cross-border biotech investment. And actually, by the end of the webinar, Helen will share her insights about the recently very hot topic, of course, is about the coronavirus. So we know, so can the Wuhan Institute of the Virology file application relating to the Remdesivir, and also is well Wuhan Institute of Virology application will be granted. So by the end, so you have to stay till the end of the webinar, then you will get an answer. So Sean, please continue the webinar. And Helen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, actually Helen is not only in the industry, but also Helen has a lot of experience in academic. Helen is a Jones Professor at Northeast China University of Political Science and Law in the Wuhan School of Law, and also other universities. And other information I want to add is that actually Aaron had a variety of experience, not only in IP, but also in some regulatory, commercial, and some registration market entrance. and pricing and a lot of activities. So now we can have invite Helen to have a speech about the IP protection, maybe about 30 to 40 minutes, and then if our audience have questions, we can have Helen to answer that questions and we can discuss. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Eiko and Zhong, for the nice introduction. And thank you for all the audience online. And thank you for your time. It's very nice to meet with you via the web. So going next, I'm going to introduce you about some IP issues in biotech investment and share with you some cases we have been handling in our practice over the past 20 years. So yeah, going next, please. Next, please. That's my bio. This is a very brief introduction of my firm, and I'm working for Zhong Lun Law Firm, which is one of the top tier law firms in China. We currently have 18 offices around the whole world, mainly based in mainland China, but some overseas office, as you can see from the picture. The next, please. The professionals, we have over 300 partners and more than 2,500 employees in all the offices altogether. Because China is a big population country, and the firms, from the size of the firm, a lot of firms in European countries feel very surprisingly to know we have such a lot of people. But in China, we are not the only example have such much staff and employees. Next slide, please. That's a business our firm could handle. Basically, over the sections in the legal area, from capital market to disputes resolution, the real estate, including IP and some finance stuff, we are capable to help our client to handle all these matters. Next, please. Yeah, this slide just to show you some honors the firm has been granted in the past few years. Basically, we have been ranked on the very top tier in China for different award granting system and agencies on different countries from different regions. Next, please. Okay, coming back to the topics for today, I'm going to discussing some intellectual property issues in biotech investment. And I don't know how much you know about intellectual property, but I'm pretty sure that if you will be handling some biopharma or biotech related investment, intellectual protection is something cannot be avoided nowadays. So I'm going to share you some information or some cases in these areas. Next slide, please. This one just to show you the trend in the past few years of investment in biotech areas. You could see, there's a peak actually from 2015 and slowly going down, but 2018 going to another peak. Last year, 2019, the investment amount and from the volume of the deal actually goes down a little. But for the players in the industry, we feel the reason is because investors becomes more rational and reasonable. They have more knowledge to this area, to the industry. And then nowadays, the biotech investment is a hot topic for world investors. But the people with more knowledge and insight in these areas, when they select the project, it's more reasonable evaluation and more consideration from financial performance and the value of the technology they're going to invest. So I'm just saying, in biotech investment, it's still very active and dynamic, but investors become more knowledgeable and rational in this area. Next slide. Going back to intellectual property protection, probably a lot of people heard about patents, trademarks, and copyright. Actually, they are just a different division or different section in the IP field. From the slide, you could see actually in addition to patent that protects technology, and copyright is like we all know, just a Harry Potter, a book and a film. That is a copyrightable material, and the trademark, the brand protection, that's happened in our daily life. Like Louis Vuitton and Nike were the famous brand. The value of their brand lies in, the goodwill and the reputation behind that. That's another kind of IP. And the geography indication, like some wines from Napa Valley, only wines from Napa Valley represent good taste of certain wines. That's a geography indication. And the trade secret, I'm going to compare with patent in my next few slides. It's a different kind of technology protection, but mainly that protection largely depends on the trade secret holders' own measures to protect the secrecy of the trade secret. And the new varieties of plants happens in plant breeding. It basically is a new generation of a plant through the breeding system. That is another patentable IP, but have different government authority in charge of that. Just to give you an overview of what is intellectual property, it's a intangible asset, not like a real asset we could see in our daily life, not like your house, your automobile, some other physical or tangible thing you could see. That is something, IP is something invisible, but that represent the weight of a human being that also have a great value to our work and life. So yeah, but goes next, please. After you have a basic understanding of IP, I'm going to talking about patent. Patent protection in biotech investment is extremely important, as you may have known. So what is patent? A lot of people talking about patent and some patent technology, some patent product in biotech investment. As far as I know, a lot of investors, the first question would be, what's your product? What's your technology is? And the second question might be, do you have patent protection? So what is patent? From the very nature, fundamental nature, patent is an exclusivity, is an exclusive rights. The exclusivity is very important of a patent. It only represents that you have the right to exclude some others from the boundary you described. I'm going to give you a few cases to explain what I mean by saying exclusivity and the right to exclude others. Sorry. Still goes back, please. Thank you. The patent system. So after we knowing the patent, what is a patent system? Patent system is in this industry, we always use this Abraham Lincoln's saying, the patent system is to add the oil of interest to the fire of genius. What's that mean? Basically, patent system is designed to motivate innovation and a new technology. The patent system is designed by granting some period of exclusivity protection to the patent owner in exchange for information publication. Why is that? When you file a patent, at a certain point, your invention, including a lot of technical details, will be published to all the people around the whole world. The point is, after you share the information, the people behind you, or the next generation or next generation, they could, based upon existing technology, to make new improvement, to continuously working in the industry to make new invention or innovation. So that's to that point, the patent system is to encourage innovation. But to reward the published information, the country will grant some protection to the patent holder for a certain period. Like normally for patent, we have 20 years of protection. Within the 20 years of term, the patent owner has exclusivity to use the invention. So that's a balanced system. On the one side, you encourage innovators motivation to continue to work and to make some new technology. On the other side, after patent term is expired, the public would be benefit from the published information of the existing technology, and they could dig out more for the ongoing research and development. And why patent is important for biotech or biopharma industry? It's simply because patent protection grants you exclusivity protection. And why exclusivity protection is important for biotech industry? I think that reason is simple. Exclusivity means you could share some market competition advantage compared to some others without protection, because as I just mentioned, within the patent term, only the patent owner is allowed to use the technology. That means for a biotech product, if you, after CFDA approval, if you launch in the market, during the patent term, only the patent owner could be the single player in the industry. So for the actual product, that means for the drug bidding practice, you have much more leverage to bargain the higher price, especially consider the China's current policy. The government use volume purchase in exchange for low price. So if there's a product has a generic variant and a brand manufacturer's products, both existing in the market, under the Chinese current policy, if the brand owner dislike to decrease the selling price of the drug, and then generic variant, they could provide option for the government. They are willing to sell all the generic variant of product with a more lower price. In that case, the government just give them volume ordered for 7 provinces in China. And then the generic manufacturer could also benefit from that kind of business. So under the China's current volume purchase system, basically the government still deliver a signal to all the players in the industry saying, please do some innovative product. If you are only one or first one come to the market, we grant you some high priority of protection. You also could have much more leverage to bargain the price and to get good deal to reward the previous investment in R&D. So patent is very important for pharma and biotech industry. That's a basic reason. Next slide, please. Next, please, I think. Yes. After knowing the importance of a patent to pharmaceutical or biotech product, another question is, we have been constantly asked by different people or different clients or different investors. When they have a new project, they have a patent, the product have a patent protection. They think that could be something have a great value. But the issue whether the patent product means the good product. Actually, the answer is not necessarily. If you are going to invest in a new project and the product, technology you are going to invest has no patent protection, that triggers some red flag issue you need to carefully consider. After you invest or donate a lot of money, after the products or technology matured to the market, if they have no patent protection, probably means more competitors in the future. Means market sharing with some other competitors. To that end, the investor will be very concerned for investing to some technology with no patent protection. But on the other side, as I said, it does not necessarily mean that a product with patent protection could be an excellent product. The reason is, in the first place, patent has different types. Like just under the Chinese system, patent including invention patent, utility model, and the design. Probably for you, it's a rather new concept. Invention protect some high technology, and the protection term is 20 years. Utility model and design, and only protect a smaller invention, the protection term is 10 years from the filing date. So just from the definition and the protection term of different patents, you could realize the value could be different. For the industry players, basically invention patent represents more value because it's also gone through substantial examination by the patent office. And after patent right is granted, by default, the court and all the people will be thinking invention patent is very strong. That represents a good patent. On the other side, utility model and design, they just do some paper filing. After you pass through formality examination, you got patent right. Even if you get patent protection for utility model and design, but the validity of the patent could be very weak because there's no substantial examination. You just do the paper filing and just go through formality examination. So talking about this point, a few years ago, I was in New York to attending an international seminar. I was asked by US governmental official who working at White House at that point, at Obama government. His question is, he noticed that China filed a lot of patent applications every year, and overseeing United States became the #1 patent filing country from the number of the patent filing. So he's asking, whether China is really so creative and the technology is so advanced that from the number of the filing, you have overseen the United States becomes #1 country in the whole world. And I'm talking to him, actually not. The reason is still the same, and because a lot of Chinese companies, for the government sponsor reason, were for have some selling point for the enterprise, they file patent. But more often, they are more likely to file utility model and design, especially for companies in Guangdong province, where a lot of small industry comes out. Design and the utility model is easy to acquire patent, so they could get a patent granting in a rather faster way, and they could accumulate a lot of patents during the short term. So from the number of the patents you see, we have a lot of patent filing and a lot of patent. But from the value of the patent, you will see the invention filing by Chinese companies or enterprise is much less than the economically advanced country like the Japan, United States, and Germany. So that's I'm saying, because the patent, they're different, they have different category. In the first place, we need to understand what patent the company have, and then consider the actual value of the patent. And the second thing I want to talk is about setting aside the patent type. Even for the invention patent, still patent has different value. Like take some pharmaceutical product, for instance, we probably heard of Novartis has Inactinib, that Gilead. We have a famous movie, in China, that's just talking about that product. Novartis patent, the Gilead patent, they have a compound patent with the first indication. The first indication, let me think, I think the to treat chronic myeloid leukemia. That's a compound plus first indication patent. After the period,
I just want to add the information that these two drugs are to treat the chronic leukemia disease. Just the information. Oh, please go ahead.
Okay. Because I'm talking about that represent a case we have handled. So just exactly for that product. Because after the compound patent expired, there are a lot of generic companies, they want to produce generic version of Meditech, where Gilead. But of course, from the patent owner perspective, they really hate that. They want to exclude all the competitors from the market. And then at that point, we figured out what a secondary patent we have in the patent portfolio we have. We have a composition, we have crystal form, we have a manufacturing process, and luckily we have second indication. The second indication of Gilead or inetinib is to treat GIST. GIST is a kind of a tumor or cancer. The very technical name is a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. Just in brief, we call it GIST. GIST is the second indication, and the inetinib is very powerful to treat that kind of disease. So after expiry of the compound patent, we just monitor generic manufacturer filing, and we found in the drug label, in addition to the compound structure and the first indication, some company also listed the second indication. Later on, we were told, because the second indication was so requested by the CFDA, because CFDA think you are a generic version product. You must exactly look like the brand owner's product. If they have listed both indications, you must list both too. However, for the brand owner, the patent term for the second indication is still within patent protection. So we catch the first generic version of manufacturer after the selling product on the market, and we sue them before the court. And that's an easy judgment for the court, because the second indication from the drug label, from the drug package, compared with the patent description. You doesn't need to do any technical analysis. Just from the plain wording of the description, the second indication is the same. And then we use the second indication patent, which is the secondary patent, to prevent generic company. Eventually, that case goes to a settlement. The generic company is willing to settle by, compensate or pay some licensing fee. But some other companies, there are a few other generic companies, they try to adopt the same strategy to reach an agreement with the brand owner. So I'm saying, in addition to the patent category, the patent, the pharmaceutical or biological industry, they have different, like the compound patent, where the molecular patent for pharmaceutical product has a very high value, very essential patent for the product. In addition to that, there could be secondary patent. And when you do some investment, and you could also figure out what's the value, what's the actual value of the patent. It's a real innovative invention, represent a finding of a new compound, a new molecular, or it's just some modification in formulation, in dosage. Of course, modification in dosage or in treatment method also have great value. But from the general economic value of the patent, that could be a secondary patent. That also, means you still rely on the compound patent to implement the secondary patent. From the economic assessment, that could be a consideration for the overall assessment. And the last point about patent is, for the players in the patent field, the scope of protection is very important. What's the scope of protection? Actually, if you read a patent, a lot of difficult technical words you probably can never understand. The key part of the patent is the claims. What do we say? The patent composed of a specification, the claims, the drawings, and a few other stuff. But only the claims has extremely value, legally speaking, because the claims describe the scope of protection of the invention. If you describe a lot of things in the specification without claiming that, legally speaking, you donate your invention to the readers, to whoever read your paper. But you just want to tell people you made the invention, however, you simply donate it to all the people. You're so nice, you don't want to protect them. The scope of protection is very important. I just have a case last month. A big investor from the state-owned fund, they want to invest a hospital It's a very reputable hospital in Beijing. The professor made a diagnostic method by using DNA amplification system. And the professor said, I also have patent for my technology. So the state-owned fund is very excited, and because they feel the diagnostic testing method or the kit could represent, huge economic value. They are going to sign the agreement. And at the last point, they consider probably they need to have an IP lawyer to look into the technology to make assessment before the signing. And at that point, we stepped into the deal, and we see the patent of the professor, and we have to tell our client it's the state-owned fund, saying yes, it is the professor has a patent, but if you look at the claims of his patent, you will find the claims. Claim 1 is the independent claim, which describes the most broader protection scope of that patent. From the length of the claims, it takes a whole page. What does that mean? That means if you have a whole page describing the testing method, that means a lot of elements has been included in the protection scope. In other words, if some other people try to copy or try to design a similar method, they could simply avoid certain steps, avoid using certain reagent you are describing in your claims, and then could go across your claim easily. To that end, even if you have patent protection, but it means nothing to the industry player, simply because your claims is too lengthy, too detailed, and including too much technical details that can be easily goes around. That's the issue. So we told our investor saying, yes, he has patent, but because the patent for patent granting purpose is described in too detailed way. For other people, if they change something, like neglect something, they could easily go across the patent. From that end, the patent protection doesn't have a lot of commercial value for that technology. After we give the opinion, our investor have to consider the deal again and renegotiate with the professor and the hospital. And eventually the parties understand after both of them consult with the patent lawyers, IP lawyers, and they agree to close the deal in a much lower price. So that's what I'm talking about. Patent has different category. You really need to understand the different patents represent different protection scope and a different market value, and to make an actual assessment. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Please go back. I think I should exchange this. Yeah, go back. Oh, go back. Yes, here. I'm sorry, next. Yes. I'm sorry, this slide, the right place for this guy should be exactly after the slide just finished. The two in the wrong place. I'm sorry for that. After talking about the value of different patent, I just want to clarify a few questions. We were frequently asked or raised by companies. Very often, some people means, if I have a patent, does that mean I'm safe? There's no infringement risk because I have patent. The answer is no. Or not necessarily, because as I said, patent only represent exclusivity. That means the right to prohibit others from enter your boundary. But that does not mean you have patent, you could do whatever within your scope. The reason is because I could give you another case we are representing before the Guangdong IP court. Our client is also doing some DNA testing case, and their product were adopted by the CDC of Chinese different provinces, and they have a good selling in the last 2 years. They have patent for their technology, but they were sued by a Japanese company for patent infringement at the Beijing IP court. Eventually, the case transferred to Guangzhou because of venue court or jurisdiction issue. And that's a legal issue, means which court has the authority to adjudicate the case. And the client, when they first come to us, they feel angry and they don't understand. They feel the Japanese company is nonsense. They told us, we have our own patent. Why the Japanese company is still suing against us? And we reviewed their patent and the Japanese patent, and we told them, setting aside the outcome of the infringement determination, we said the Japanese company basically saying their patent, Japanese company patent, is a fundamental technology. And they think your patent technology, the client patent technology, is based on their development. So when the Guangzhou-based company practice their DNA technology, they can unavoidable using Japanese company's technology. To that end, they will need a license from Japanese company because the Japanese company's technology is very fundamental, the basic, the underlayer protection technology. And the client made some improvement based upon that. Just because that reason, when the Guangdong company using their own improved technology, they're actually using both patent technology. In addition to their technology itself, they have to use Japanese companies' technology too. So that's the reason saying that's a very constantly happened when you have a patent, actually because you are not innovative or extremely essential patent, not like the compound patent, you're first guy to discover the molecular. If it's a crystal or formulation or dosage modification, actually you're making an improvement based on existing technology. In that case, you need to check whether the technology you make improvement still within patent term. If it is, and then you have to consider patent infringement issue or licensing issue. So just to answer my question I have set out, has a patent does not mean you are safe, you have no infringement risk. Another example is in the industry is we have selection invention. For instance, you have invention you found for a glass manufacturing process. If you adjust the temperature to 300 centigrade to 700 centigrade, you could make good quality of glasses. After you have patent technology for that, I do more research. I found at the degree of 420, the glasses made have extremely better quality, much better than, probably have 500 centigrade or some others. And then I filed patent protection for exactly doing manufacturing glasses at the temperature 420. Possibly if the product I obtained by using that temperature has much higher quality, I still could get protection for the 420 centigrade. You see, this point just falls within the range 300 to 70, but you have both patents existed. If you are using 420, actually because it is within the initial boundary designed by you, I'm still having infringement risk. To that end, still going back to the answer to the first question, have a patent does not mean you are safe. You have no infringement risk. And then the second issue is sometimes some professor or some engineering, some smart people come to us to say, I want to find an investor and the technology, I truly honestly tell you, is developed by myself. I'm an expert in this technology. I have been, donating 8 years or 10 years to invent certain technology because it is I developed by myself and there's no infringement risk because I'm not copying, I'm not stealing. So I have no infringement risk. The answer for that is also same. It's not necessarily. There's another real case to share with you. we represent a state-owned chemical company. It's very, very big, top one or top two in China. They have a professor, they're doing, it's a insecticide product, the 杀虫剂. The professor, after opened the project, he started leading a team doing research for 7 years, and they found eventually they have a insecticide product, very good from the quality or from the performance of the product. It's excellent, and they tried in different regions, had very good effect. A lot of farmers really like their product. They want to market, they want to sell, and they have agreement with the different regions and the villagers and the farmers to sell their product. At that point, they were found by a very big multinational company. For the sensitivity reason, I just did not mention the company's name. It's also a very big chemical company with the headquarters in the US. That company talking to the state-owned chemical company saying, "You product infringing our patent." And after they compare the claims were patent presented by the foreign company, the state-owned company found, yes, unfortunately, their formulation, their composition exactly falls within the patent claims of the foreign company. But at that point, they feel still something wrong, and they feel, so uncomfortable, and they feel not quite understand the current situation. They also talk to us. They're saying the professor come to our office, just introducing the whole process during the past 7 years, how he donate days and nights, and lead the team to do the research, and how they do all the experimental testing to find the very good combination of the insecticide. And they said, because we developed, we didn't look at any piece of document from that multinational company, how they could come to us saying, "You are infringing," because the professor think the infringer means something, like a theft, like a stealer. And we told them, the patent infringement or patent infringement determination is a very objective standard. The judges or people stand in the middle, they just compare what's the technical feature of your product and what's the feature described by their patent. If were the technical feature was included in the prescription of the patent claims, and then infringement is found, that's a rule, followed by the judges, by the court. They never think about, they probably will think whether you are intentionally, whether you are very malicious to using the technology. But that would be on the secondary after infringement is found. When they consider damage award, how much money you are going to compensate the other side, they consider your intent, your subjective situation, whether you are intentionally willful or you are unintentionally, you didn't know that, just simply happened. However, it goes back to the patent infringement determination. It's a very objective comparison, just a technical comparison. They never care, it's your self-development. You steal from some others or how you get it. They only see the results. So going back to answer to this question, still self-development doesn't mean safety to your invention. You still need to do some infringement analysis to see when you do the research, if there are some others, they are doing the same thing or even earlier than you, they have patent protection. If it is the case, you need to consider, you cannot use this technology freely on the market. With other people's patent becomes barrier. And the third thing I want to mention, especially here, is when we do a lot of due diligence for a lot of investment projects, we will constantly, client told us, or company told us, investor told us, the technology is wonderful. They have international patents. They have global coverage. So you don't care because it's an international patent. So we're good. We're in good shape. And we always, in that situation, it's very risky message we always told the people talking with us with that message saying, actually, there's no international patent. When they talking about international patent, it simply means some international application. PCT is a Patent Cooperation Treaty. It's an international treaty. The treaty is designed to helping people in different countries to simplify the application process. Without the PCT system, and people in China, in Germany, Italy, or in Japan, in Korea, in different parts of the world, when they want to have patent protection, they have to use different official language in different jurisdictions to file application for the same invention. Like they file China in Chinese, in Japan in Japanese, and in Italy, in France, in whatever language, you know, that each country adopted to make the filing. That is very cumbersome for the inventor. So PCT is designed to say, by any one of the 7 official language acknowledged by the PCT or by WIPO, you could make the filing. And the legal effect is, by making filing once, you have the effect designating all the countries within the PCT member countries. But that means you do the filing, trigger the effect, you making the requesting the filing to different countries. However, because the because the patent protection is very territorial, because each country have their own sovereignty and their own examination guidelines, eventually patent granting is a thing of each respective country. You still need to go through respective patent office to have them review your patent to decide whether patent can be granted. So PCT only means the PCT international stage, means the status of application is a filing with a different country by PCT route. That's all. But the PCT application can never be granted as a PCT patent because there's no PCT patent. After international phase, each application has to still goes to different country. You still have to go to Italy, France, Japan, Korea, China to have patent office at different countries to do their own examination. Probably this invention is good enough for patent granting Italy or France or Europe, but it's rejected in China, or it's granted in the States, rejected in Japan. That happens every day. So still, with the PCT number or PCT application, you still need to see eventually whether the patent goes into national phase, but the National Patent Office has granted patent to that invention or not. So that's an issue because, you know, for us it's simple because we know it's a PCT, it's just a procedure. But for a lot of people not in this region, they feel international PCT patent application means a lot, means international protection. I just want to say, because patent protection is very territorial. You have a Chinese patent, doesn't mean you have protection in the States. We have here I could talk to you another case we have handled about 10 years ago. It's a Shanghai government funded a venture capital organization. They want to introduce technology from California to Guizhou province to China. It's a geoseminar technology and to helping local plant to using the technology or the power and to, you know, to be more efficient, run the machinery. The issue is, you know, the US company, the California company, they have a lot of US patent. And then when they introduce the deal to China, they make asset assessment for all the US patent. I think they have 700 US patent because it's a very reputable laboratory in California. And the client make a lot of investment. The deal value is huge because 7 patents is not a small number. Still, at the end of signing, the lawyers was called in, the IP lawyers also looked into the deal. And when we do the search, we found among the 700 US patents, only no more than 10. I remember probably 3 or 5 patents have a Chinese equivalent. means, the protection is only in the United States. When the technology has no protection in China, basically means that people in China could freely use the technology. That's the meaning, implication of the patent system. If you do not request protection in China, means you are happy to let Chinese people see it, use it without paying anything. That's a legal implication. So we told the company, because patent is very territorial, they only have US patent, they have very limited Chinese patent. Why you need to pay such significant amount of money to buy their patent when it has no value in this market? And still, it's a shocking news, almost a deal breaker for that project. And after we raised the issue, I think the parties renegotiate, because the US laboratory, they're also, a bunch of scientists. They don't know the patent law, they just do research. After we raise the issue, they consult with their lawyers, and they agree that there's a limited protection in China. Eventually, they change the deal structure. It's not an asset purchase or licensing deal to China, because the patent has no value for the Chinese market. They have to change to technical support to help the local manufacturing to use and to install the machine. Anyway, that's a real case again. I'm just saying, because the patent is territorial, you have to keep that in mind, and there's no international patent. That's another message I really want to emphasize. Okay, going next, please. Talking about importance of patent in biotech investment, and some very basic concept in this area. I just want to say, cross-border investment were transaction. We will also see a lot of issue with IP, because when you invest in pharma or biotech industry, you always see licensing in is a very common used model for a lot of companies, because currently the whole world becomes a global village. People in different regions, their research is very academic, and they always exchange opinions and get new technology from the peers in different countries, in different regions. You will see a lot of cross-border transaction and licensing in the technical field in pharma or in biotech. So at least a lot of deals we have been handling, we're seeing a licensing in takes a significant amount for where's IP-related issues. So I want to share you with some issues in cross-border transaction from the IP perspective. Next slide, please. First thing, if you have a licensing deal before you, how to evaluate or how to consider the value of the transaction? Still, a lot of people think licensing, of course, you pay the licensor, you get the license technology, you have the right in China or in certain region, and you could commercialize the product. And then after FDA approval, you could launch a product in the market and get a revenue invested to your R&D. That's a basic route. But for the few things in cross-border licensing, I want to see a few very important issues from IP perspective. First is the license grant, because the license grant could have different category. License have different category. I could give you a non-exclusive license, the sole license, and the exclusive license. So that has a different legal implication again. Non-exclusive license means ordinary license. Means I could give it to you, give it to him, give it to Sean, give it to Aiko, give it to whoever I like it. Just I could give a license to multiple person with a limitation. If you get the license, you will understand, in addition to you yourself could use it, some other people could possibly use the same thing and they do the technology again. That means for a product, probably in the future, there are quite a few competing products in the market because all of you have the license. So that is the ordinary license or non-exclusive license, the legal implication. The exclusive license is something we have seen in biotech investment or cross-border transaction frequently seeing. You have exclusive rights for China, for Hong Kong, or sometimes Taiwan as well. that represent a higher license granting, means you're right in China. Only you could do it. I cannot allow other people to marketing or doing research based on same technology. This license meaning, you have exclusivity where the people, only you allow you in this region. In addition to you and myself, we could do it. Sole license is a concept, under the Chinese law, but I think in the States, in Europe, they also have the same. Probably they are more likely using sole and exclusive license. Sole license means even if I'm a holder, but if I give a sole license to you, meaning I only the holder from the nominal perspective. Only you could use the technology. Even I, as the owner, I cannot use it. During the license term, you are the only people legally permitted to use the technology. So the license tax is very important. I could share you another case we were handling during past 3 years. It's about a licensing dispute between two companies, two Chinese companies. One is Suzhou-based, then there is a Taizhou-based company. The Suzhou-based company has a few technology to product pharmaceutical products. They have a few pipeline things are very good. And back to 10 years ago, they were in very good relationship with the Taizhou-based company because the boss, the big boss, they were former friends. They know each other for a long time. So after the Suzhou company, after the CEO came back from the US, and at that time, his company is very small, has no capability to commercialize the technology. And he represents Suzhou company, grant the sole license to the Taizhou-based company, to his friend company. Because it's a sole license, it's in Chinese, it's a 独占许可, means only Taizhou company could use the technology. I think the contract is saying during the contract term, only the Taizhou company would be allowed to do some GMP manufacturing to, commercialize the product and to sell in the market. After agreement was signed, in the first 2 years, everything goes on well. They are still in honeymoon. And the other party, the Taizhou company, pays certain fee to the Suzhou-based company. But a few years later, something wrong with the Taizhou manufacturer. We heard it's because of environmental protection. The local, governmental authority found something wrong with the Taizhou company's manufacturing facility. They asked them to modification to shut down for a few months. And then that seriously impact the operation of the Taizhou company. So the Taizhou company start to have some economic issue and have some manufacturing issue. They cannot, as stipulated or anticipated before, to continue manufacturing the product and even pay the revenue to the royalties to the Suzhou-based licensor. That situation continued for a little while, and the two parties negotiate, and it's fruitless, and the relationship between the two becomes worse and worse. At the end, the Suzhou company, they decided to want to terminate the agreement because they think they're wasting time. They have good technology, and the Suzhou company becomes bigger. After a few rounds of finance investment, they have their own manufacturer, they have their own plant, they have their GMP product lines. They actually could produce the same product by using their own technology. However, with the license agreement there, they cannot because they gave a sole license to the Taizhou company. We helped them to negotiate, but it's fruitless. And then, we have both parties have to file a lawsuit. Suzhou company want to terminate license agreement. Taizhou company want to continue the license, even though they cannot manufacture, and even though they default for a few years, Taizhou company wouldn't give up the license. And after 3 years, after changing a few courts, eventually, last year they settled, and it's a happy ending. Still, the Suzhou company is very happy because at the courtroom we show a lot of evidence, and the other party feel they are not have so strong grounds to fight with us. and they terminate most of the agreement and only have one agreement survive, but they pay the Zulu company a lot of money for the past few years. So I'm talking about that case is going to fighting before courtroom. It's very expensive. It's very expensive, time consuming. I think no company want to go escalate dispute to that level. But to avoid that, you know, you have to consider your agreement you signed during our daily operation. What's the legal implication? Do you really understand what's that? Not because at that point you are in a high mood and you like the other party. You just grant a lot of things without additional consideration. Just remember the things changing very fast. You will be a good friend today, but who knows? Probably, you know, next year something happened, and you have to review the deal from a different angle. In that case, probably you will think, okay, you just to rushly enter the deal without consider a lot of implication. You're taking it back to license. I'm saying license grant. What's tab? What's the license activity? You would allow the licensing territory terms were very important. Another thing, the sub-licensing issue. It's also present a lot of cases. In some license grant, I'm the licensee, I have your permission to market in China. But remember, constantly or very likely, in addition to the license for me, myself using it, I will need a sub-license to allow the CRO or CMO to do the manufacturing, to do the research for me when the whole project goes on. In that case, you need a right to sub-license. The right to sub-license means I, as a licensee, I also have the right to allow my business partner to use the technology to fulfill certain target or achieve certain business. If in the whole operation you anticipate you cannot do all the stuff by yourself altogether, like the CRO, CMO situation, where sometimes you need to find a distributor to sell the product for you, sub-license is very important. In addition to license for yourself to use it, you need to right to allow your business partner to use the technology. That's a sub-license legal implication. I have a case just last December. It's not in this industry, but in the chipset manufacturing business. A very good friend of mine, the CEO of a chipset manufacturing company, he told me his company has signed a license agreement with a very big, reputable US company for using their chips. Yeah, actually it's ARM. you might know ARM, ARM. ARM is a chipset design company, very top tier chipset designer in the whole world. His company has a license from ARM to allow them to use ARM's technology for the next generation chipset design. They feel they're good because they have license, and they start to do the design. And then at a certain point, they found for a small session development, they need more technical people to help. And they found another smaller US company in Silicon Valley. They said, okay, we are in this business and I want to farm out this part of work to you. Please help me to finish design for that part. And the small US company in California happily takes the task, finish the design, and work combined together. They have a final product. It's a good, very performance chip put into the market. However, because the chip business, they could monitoring, each chipset or chips in different machines and different devices, like your cell phone, your mobile phone, they have technology to monitor that. And, because ARM is a very powerful big company, they have license to a lot of companies. They also in a lot of agreement, they have the authority or the power to do some auditing. Anyway, the thing I mentioned was figured out by ARM. And ARM came back to the company saying, I give you a license, but only to you. But I found the California-based company also using my technology. I never allow them to use. And they said, you know, so you're asked them to do it. And you said you have license. And then, you know, the CEO, my friend, come to me saying how to deal with that. And then I reviewed the agreement he signed with ARM. Yes, it is only said this company, the Shanghai-based company, could use technology. However, there's no right for sub-license, meaning the license, the right to use only to Shanghai. It's very personal, only to you itself. You cannot allow your friend, your partner, and your relatives to use it. That's a legal implication. There's no stipulation of right to sub-license. To that end, the ARM's request is reasonable. ARM said I only allow you to use. Why you ask your brother to use it? That's a reason. That's the issue. So after figure out the issue, of course, we have to renegotiate with ARM, saying just the technical people's understanding to legal things not so comprehensive. That is something we feel we have license, but we anticipated we would have the right of sub-license. Well, it is not, and it's a mistake just by misunderstanding. And the parties, I think, they have settled the issue by renegotiation, by some, you know, compensation. So the story I'm just mentioning is saying sub-license is a separate right and not affiliated to license grant automatically. You do need a sub-license separately to do your business if you really need it. So going next, please. Sorry, I think the time goes on so fast. I need to be very fast. I have a lot of cases, but probably I need to neglect most of them. Ownership to improve technology have also a dispute just the last week. A similar thing. You need to have a good stipulation saying, but well, you have my license, but if you based on my technology, you make improved technology, who is owner? Who has a share? When it has some financial value, how to share with that? You have to stipulate carefully and you know, put it in clear language in your contract stipulation. Otherwise, you have trouble. So as last week, we just in a rush to handle a similar thing, just with a multinational company and their former R&D center. It's a similar thing. The R&D center used to becomes a multinational pharmaceutical company, but it is spin off as a joint venture with another shareholder. And then based on the technology from the big pharma, the JV made a new technology and they claimed the patent, they filed a patent in their own name. This thing was figured out by the big pharma. Big pharma came out saying, okay, why you do that? Because you're based on my technology. We never stipulate what's the ownership for the improved technology. You simply cannot claim the ownership by yourself. At least we need to share that. So we're still negotiating that thing. Going next, please. Reps and warranties also have a lot of real story, real court case. It's very important. So one thing here I want to mention is sometimes in a group company, you know, after merger and acquisition, where a lot of deals, you are talking with a big group company. But remember, the group company has hundreds of or dozens of different legal entities. If you sign an agreement, you will sign an agreement with each respective individual entity. You remember, well, they are a group company, you know, in the States, in China, or in Singapore, but legally speaking, they are different animals. So here, a real case is, we have been handling a case. We haven't involved in the deal when the whole deal goes on. After deal closing, our client is still a pseudo-based company found in an embarrassing situation. After deal closing of the payment, milestone payment, they found it's the one critical patent, the ownership title hasn't been transferred to themselves. According to their agreement with the group company, where the patents, the right has to transfer to the pseudo company. However, there's a limited patent was registered not in the group company's name, but in the subsidiary. So after deal closing, the title transfer hasn't finished. And when they see the agreement is signed with the group company, not with a specific individual as a group company. So they have trouble when they're using the patent, even if they have paid for the technology, they think they have paid. But legally speaking, the title transfer never happened. They signed an agreement with the group company, but not with the patent owner. They didn't notice this issue before the deal closing. If it is figured out before the deal closing, they could, of course, ask the group company to ensure the title transfer from the affiliate to the solo company. But nobody noticed that, and they leave a loophole. And then when the issue comes out, they need to open the dialogue again, talking to the group company and saying, title transfer need to be done. And then, of course, at the point, they need to renegotiate. And again, they settle the issue, but they still waste a few time and additional money, a small amount of money to settle the issue. So the title of ownership is very important for all the deals. Currently, yesterday we are helping a company for Hong Kong IPO public listing. We feel in their agreement, they have a lot of similar issue. They negotiated with the headquarter people, but actually the rights was held by different entity. And when they signed an agreement with the group company, we told them the legal entity is not held by them, but by its affiliate in different jurisdiction. You do need to check, whether whether the group company, legally speaking, has the right to allow you to use. Otherwise, basically, you are dealing with asset belong to some other people, like ICO has the asset, but Sean and I reach agreement to sell ICO's vehicle. You see, that's a nonsense. Of course, it does not have any effect because Sean doesn't have title to ICO's asset. So that's a similar situation. That's say verification of ownership is very important. And the reps to infringement is another thing. I do not mention due to a time limit. Dispute resolution, the real case is our client is the Australia company. They signed an agreement with the Chinese company for technology transfer, and eventually the broken up relationship, and they have dispute resolution. And eventually they said they want to sue them. And we see in their dispute resolution clause, the Australia company is saying all the dispute has to be raised before the Australia's court. And that's the issue. We told them, because you sue before Australia court, but China do not have reciprocal agreement with Australia for acknowledge of a court decision or court judgment. Meaning, even if you could prevail, you could win the case in Australia. That means nothing because Chinese court do not respect Australia court judgment. The defendant is in China. You can never bring the Australia judgment of the Chinese court to respect, to help enforce. That's not the case. So that's a dispute resolution. You made a wrong stipulation for that. You should know that. Know the legal implication when you sign the agreement. So for a lot of cross-border transaction, we use arbitration rather than dispute resolution in court in foreign country, because arbitration is a different world. China is a New York Convention member. Arbitration word is could possibly be enforced in China. There are a lot of other considerations for that. So, but I probably need to neglect that. I occupied too much time of all of you. Should we go next? It's just next.
Yes, Helen, you have maybe finished soon, maybe 5 minutes about the remdesivir.
Sure. Remdesivir, I just just want to briefly, well, probably 2 minutes. Remdesivir is a brand product of Gilead. They have a number of patent protection in China. Some granted patents, some are still pending. But the next slide, please. As you have heard from the news report, Wuhan Institute of Virology filed another application relevant into this product. So that caused a lot of debate where quarrel in the industry. They decided why Wuhan Institute did that and whether their patent could be granted a patent. I'm saying Gilead protection on this product. They have network. I think it's perfectly designed. They pretty much has covered a lot of things. Wuhan Institute of Virology, they filed I think include, it's a precise, yeah, it's a usage, it's an indication of remdesivir in treating, the current virus. I don't know why Wuhan found that, but from the Gilead's patent claims, it's similarly, this indication has been covered, but probably Wuhan's filing, including more data, more clinical trial data, and saying their method has much better effect, because currently we cannot see Wuhan's application specification in whole. This patent just filed, has not been published. You cannot comment on how comprehensive or what's the incentive point in their patent application. There's a possibility, of course, they could file, but the patent right could be granted. It depends on how they describe what they ask. So it's a wait and see. Next, please. Yeah, this come back to my slide. I'm just saying whether the Wuhan Institute application can be granted is a way to see, because you need to evaluate novelty, inventive step, and data disclosure from the patent law, Chinese patent law practice. So at this point, I can hardly comment, but probably 18 months later, we would have a better evaluation for that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Sorry, I just occupied too much of your time.
Yes, thank you. Yes, actually, it's very clear. And I think for the Wuhan's application, maybe when it's published soon, and you can have the most updated comments then. So now I think though we have a lot of we have talked a lot, but I think if for the audience, if you have questions, you can click the raise hand button and then type your questions. If there's no questions, actually, I have a question, but but you already answered my questions. Actually, as you know, we MSQ did a lot of transactions like license in, license out between China and global. So, what is the most important things or the most important items when we Chinese companies to license in one product or one patent from a multinational company? The most important. I know you have actually talked a lot, like you talked about it.
Yeah. From a commercial perspective, the most important thing I think is it's a right, exclusive right for the China region, just from a business perspective, because it's very important. Setting aside all the legal issue, I think licensing territory for China to cover China is extremely important for the Chinese company, because potentially your, a big profit winner will be this market, possibly, the Hong Kong as well. So from that point, the licensing regime, you do need exclusive license for China. And I said the two critical things, the exclusivity, and then for China region.
Okay, thank you. And I think, as you said, in the very beginning, the biotech investment is hard in 2018, though in last year is decreasing, it is declining. But I think, and this year and next year, the industry will recover, and then more biotech investment will happen. And do you think there will be any more and more China companies license out cases? Like the big companies like Henry and other pharmaceutical companies, do you think there will be more and more license out cases?
License out, yes, I think so. With the innovation capability of the Chinese company becomes much stronger. They're supposed to be more technology locally generated, and then which could be requested by foreign players. To that end, the very dynamic activity in R&D in the Chinese market represents opportunity and the expectation for future license out. To that end, as far as I know, I see a lot of R&D activities at different size of company in China. I think so. I already involved in certain deal. Chinese company license their project or technology to foreign company. I think, yeah, it's a very possible trend. going forward with the industry becomes more prosperous in the market.
Okay, thank you. Haoran, any questions from the audience? If there's no questions, let's finish today. Oh, there's one question from Zheng Tao. Helen, can you see the question?
I didn't see. Oh, I see some CAR-T. What was that? Can you repeat for me? I didn't see.
Yes. The question is, what is your opinion for the patent of CAR-T that is being widely used in China? What he means is there's a lot of companies they are developing CAR-T technologies in China. So many companies. What do you think? The patent of CAR-T?
I know there are a lot of probably dozens of patent company has applied for CAR-T diagnostic. Some got approved, some have not. As far as I know, their CAR-T, the target site of different companies are not all the same. Some companies, the CAR-T, they study the cell memory set has have different site on the cell memory. Their target molecular could be different. Some companies might be similar, but as far as I know, not all of them are the same. To that end, patent protection in China for CAR-T, I just roughly have an understanding or reviewed that. The CAR-T protection, patent protection scope in the States is very broad. But when it goes into China, because the Chinese Patent Office practice is very different from USPTO, the Chinese Patent Office doesn't allow you to have too much broader protection for all the CAR-T technology. They ask you to limit your modification, your CAR-T modification to certain site you are doing based upon your experiment in the specification. To that end, the CAR-T patent owner, they only have patent for the technology they're using, or the site, the target they are studying. For some other companies, if you go across that target, you could still, even without your own patent protection, you are allowed to do it and to make a filing to get a product. That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you.